Conservative New Media viewers, Jeremy Lin fans around the world, LA Lakers fans around the world, what's up? It's me, PFV, Paul F. Villarreal, the NBA expert, and we're here to discuss in the long video format the Lakers' 102-86 defeat tonight in Portland, Oregon to the Portland Trailblazers. With the loss, the Lakers dropped to 13-40 on the season. The Trailblazers improved to 36-17. So, what happened in this game? What happened in this game was that Portland jumped on the Lakers in the first quarter. They led by 8 points after one, and they led by 8 points going into halftime. In the third quarter, though, the Trailblazers really picked up their intensity to a totally different level, and the Lakers couldn't match it. They just couldn't stay with them. And so after three quarters, the Trailblazers were up 23 points. And then from that point on, they just kind of sailed in easily to the win. The Lakers made a couple of attempts in the fourth quarter to make a game out of it, the second unit particularly for the Lakers, but they just didn't have enough. Portland is an elite team. They're starting to get healthy again. They're still missing two. Well, they missed Chris Kaman tonight. That's a new injury. They're still missing Joe Freeland, who's their backup big. But they're an elite team, and you saw it tonight. And they're particularly an elite defensive team. And when they turned up the defensive pressure, LA they didn't know what to do. And that's pretty much what happened in this game. Okay, statistics quickly. Portland led by Wesley Matthews, 20 points, 5 rebounds. Damian Lillard, 15 points, 8 assists. LaMarcus Aldridge, 18 points, 12 rebounds. And off the bench, C.J. McCollum, 10 points and 4 rebounds. Myers Leonard, 11 points, 7 rebounds. And as I mentioned in the short video, Myers Leonard was 3 of 5 shooting three-pointers, and he's over 7 feet tall. Lakers got 17 points, 6 rebounds, 4 assists from Jordan Clarkson. Nice outing by Jordan, although he did take him 14 shots, so not super efficient, but still he had some nice moments. Robert Sacre, 12 points. Wayne Ellington, 16 points, 8 rebounds. Ed Davis, 8 points, 11 rebounds. Wesley Johnson, 12 points. Nick Young, 9 points and 2 rebounds. Nick hurt himself in this game. We'll talk about that. Jeremy Lin, 2 points in 21 minutes, 0 of 6 shooting from the field, including no three-point attempts, 2 of 2 from the free throw line, 1 rebound, 2 assists, 1 steal, no block shots, no turnovers, 2 personal fouls, and his plus-minus was a -5. All of the Lakers players in this game had negative plus-minuses. In fact, Jeremy's was the second best on the team. Carlos Boozer was -4, and Jeremy was -5. Everybody else had a more negative plus-minus than Boozer and Lin. How did Jeremy play in this game? Now, many people, or at least a few people, disagreed with me on Twitter about this. I thought Jeremy played well in this game. Coming off of last night's game, something that we will talk about last night's game in this video a little bit, and a little bit of some time away from right now. Jeremy, I thought, tried to do too much in the Denver game last night at Staples Center. He got a little too caught up in things. Turnovers, not being careful enough with the basketball. He shot the ball well. The turnovers was the main thing. And turnovers are important. They're particularly important for a point guard. And they're very important for Jeremy because it's something that's been an issue for Jeremy throughout his career. And when critics That's one of the first things they bring up about Jeremy. So if Jeremy is not going to be on the Lakers next year, which definitely looks to be the case, he wants to keep improving that for the next team and just for his own self. And I'll talk about it more later, but the main thing is with Jeremy is that sometimes he'll try to do too much. And usually that comes along with turnovers. He needs to be able to play within himself. I'm not saying, oh, he can't play and just be a little role player. No. You can play the whole game. You can shoot 30 times. But you have to do it within your skill set. You have to do it within the flow of the team. You can't make passes that aren't there. You can't take shots that aren't there. And sometimes Jeremy will do that. He'll try to do too many things. And tonight I liked the way he played because he didn't do that. He kind of dialed it back and let other guys take shots and set guys up and just kind of play your role. So again, I'm not sitting here telling you that I'm happy that Jeremy Lin scored 2 points and this is the perfect formula for him. No. But we're talking about a story arc here, a narrative arc. And so we're coming off of a situation last night where he had 5 turnovers. And I think Byron Scott said that he thought Jeremy tried to do too much in that game last night. Well, tonight, that didn't happen. That's a big reason why I'm happy. He adjusted his game. And he was more careful with the ball. And going against a defense that is as good as Portland's. And Portland came into this game tied for second in defensive rating in the NBA. So basically, they're a top 3 defense in the league at this time, and they look like it tonight. For somebody like Jeremy, who a lot of what he does is getting into the basket, getting into the lane, and taking shots, and layups, and transition. When you come up against a team that's this good on defense, you're not going to get a lot of those shots because they're going to stop you from getting them. And if you do go in, they're going to block your shot. And also a team that is this level on defense, they're going to get back in transition defense, which means you're just going to have fewer opportunities. And so you can either force shots or you can dial it down and play smart. And that's what Jeremy did tonight. He played smart. The shots that he missed were good shots, almost all of them, except maybe 1 or 2 weren't great shots. His jump shot wasn't off by very much. And he played a smart game. Right? You're not going to win every single game, and your shot's not going to be on every single night. So again, when difficulties come up, you can either force it or you can let it roll. And tonight he let it roll. And that's why I'm happy about this game. It's not just 0 turnovers. He played smart. And he played in a way like he doesn't have to be the superstar every single night. Use your teammates. Maximize your teammates. And I thought Jeremy did more of that tonight as well. And like I said, I'm happy. I'm perfectly content with the way that he played tonight. And I'm not it'd be great if the Lakers won this game, but they weren't going to win this game. They just weren't. They're not historically or recent history. They're not good in Portland. And they're going to be even less good playing on a back-to-back on the road where they have to travel and Portland's just sitting there waiting. And that's what it was. And look, the team played hard. They just don't have the talent and the level of execution necessary to compete with Portland right now. So, okay, that's about it. Now, let's discuss what was happening leading up to this game. And I might as well just discuss talk about the Nuggets game right now. Look, I was very disappointed during the Nuggets game. And I let that be known on Twitter, as were many other people. Now, some people thought I was being too hard on Jeremy, and just I wasn't taking into consideration various factors involved, such as Byron Scott's coaching and the interesting lineups. Maybe the Lakers want to evaluate young talent. Maybe they're not trying to win. This type of a thing. And that's fair. After reading an article today by Howard Beck, which I'll talk about in a second, which was about Jeremy, I think, I kind of reevaluated things a little bit. And I know that, I was caught up in the moment there. What was frustrating about the game last night, Jeremy played great in the first half. Really, really well. Now, for all we know, Byron told him at halftime, hey, look, you're shooting too much, or you're more focused on your own shots, get everybody else involved, or something like that. And so maybe Jeremy then started thinking too much in the second half. That absolutely could have been what it was. Jeremy did not play badly last night, except for his turnovers. The reason why I was so upset by last night was I felt there was a carelessness in the way Jeremy played. He wasn't valuing the basketball enough. And you have to take each possession has to be seen as important rather than, well, okay, maybe I'll make kind of a daring pass here, and if it's a turnover, no big deal. You can't play like that. And particularly for somebody like Jeremy, who has a reputation as a guy that has a lot of turnovers, and maybe he's not competitive enough, that whole thing, and you don't want to play like that, particularly going into an off season with free agency, and in a tight game. The Denver game was a winnable game, and so the reason why I'm only frustrated because I care about Jeremy. One, I know I can play better. Two, I know what people are going to think about him and how they're going to evaluate him when he plays like that. And it's not good. It's not good. So, I mean, look, I probably jumped on him too much, and I admit it, and I said it on Twitter earlier today. And that's true, and that's fair, and I accept that. I have to moderate my emotions, which usually I do a pretty good job of, but not always. And this was probably one of those times. On the other hand, no matter how much we, as a Jeremy Lin fan community, want to nurture Jeremy or coddle Jeremy or protect Jeremy, at the end of the day, it's still bottom line business. The NBA is a business, and it can be pretty ruthless. And so somehow, some way, Jeremy's got to figure out how to do certain things and do them consistently. And one of those things is he must turn the ball over less. And so the way that you do that is by playing the way that he played tonight against the Blazers. Don't try to do too much. Now, it is something this is something Jeremy's had to deal with or think about his whole career, at least since Linsanity. We've heard him. He said it himself when he went to Houston. I was supposed to be the savior of Houston basketball. Well, if you feel that way, then you think that you got to make every single play. That's your role. But it doesn't work like that. He doesn't need to play that way. And a lot of times they don't want him to play that way, whether it's the coaching staff or teammates, whatever. I'm not blaming Jeremy. I'm not trying to put down Jeremy here. What I'm telling you is he has to adjust his mindset, the way that he thinks about things, so that he goes into games with feeling okay about not having to take over a game. And tonight, that's the way that he played. And I like that. He needs more of that. Not because I think that, but that's because in terms of his skill set and his talent and his height compared to, he can't do everything. Nobody can. I don't care how good you are. There's only a few players in the league who can do whatever they want and take over, and it works well. Guys like LeBron, Kobe in his prime. Jeremy can be that way. We've seen it with Linsanity. But he has to be in the right circumstances, and the coach has to let him do it. He has to have the right talent around him, etc. Byron doesn't want him to do that. He doesn't want him to do it. And so what Jeremy has to be able to show is that he can play in a different way. He has to be able to play in different styles, different systems, different speeds. Meaning, Jeremy usually plays really fast. He has to be able to play slow, too. And he's getting there. He's getting there. The problem for him, and this was mentioned, I think, or an issue for him, is that because of Linsanity, many of his fans, they want him to score 25 points every single game. It doesn't work like that. It doesn't work like that. It's going to take him time to build back to that. And he might never be able to do that because he might not have the right circumstance, or he's going to have a coach like Byron who wants him to distribute the ball more. That's fine. They said you don't have to score a lot of points to play well. There's a whole bunch of ways to play well and be effective. So, just to wrap this all up, I thought that Jeremy his level of play dipped in the second half against the Nuggets. And a couple of the turnovers they were preventable turnovers. If he had 5 turnovers and they were all aggressive turnovers, trying to make stuff happen or whatever, then I wouldn't have an issue with it. But they weren't like that. They were on passes like he's swinging the ball from the wing back to the top of the arc, and he lost his concentration for a second, and the ball was easily picked off. You can't play like that. And the truth is that Jeremy's done that a lot. And that's the truth. And it's something that he's got to be sharper about that. He just has to be sharper about that. And again, this has been discussed at various points of his career since New York. And as I said, it doesn't matter what I think. But if the coaches feel that way, and if GMs feel that way, then he's not gonna be able to do what he wants to do. It's like I said, as fans, we can think anything we want. He still has to make certain adjustments and make certain improvements, or else he's not going to be around. And that's reality. So it's like I said, I might want to give Jeremy 1,000 chances, but that doesn't mean the people in the league are going to give him 1,000 chances. So that's part of why I react the way that I do. Look, to his credit, he is dealing with a lot of stuff. And tonight, he played a lot differently, and that's good. So he's capable of it. It's just getting his mind to where it needs to be. I said last night, and I've said it before, the whole issue of a sports psychologist or whatever, and because people are mentioning Jeremy's confidence dips and all this stuff, and he's great one night and not great the next night. Look, it's an issue. It's an issue for whatever reason. Whatever the reasons are. And I don't know them all. I'm not in Jeremy's head. I'm not living Jeremy's life. I don't know what Byron Scott's telling him. I don't know what he has to deal with. The only thing that matters to me is that he can figure out a way to improve that aspect of his mental approach to the game. Whatever it is. It doesn't matter to me what it is. As long as it's within reasonable, legal, moral, ethical bounds. I don't care what he does. It doesn't matter if it's a sports psychologist or prayer or meditation or reading a book before the game. I don't care what it is. The bottom line is he's got to figure out a way to be able to be more consistent. And he's getting there. He's getting there. It's just what it is. Like I said, I mean, this is just where it's at. And to be fair to him, he's had difficult situations. He's been put in tough situations since New York. Whether it's he goes to Houston and it's his team, oh no, it's James Harden's team because they just traded for James Harden right after you came here. And it's the fans are dissing you, and does the GM really want you, and Jersey Gate and this and that. And now you come in here and it's Kobe's team and Byron, and now we're tanking, la 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 la. So it's been tough. It has been tough. I'm not trying to take that away from the equation. There's no question. There's no doubt about it. What's good for Jeremy is he gets to make his own choice this upcoming summer. And he has grown a tremendous amount. There's no question. He's grown. His game is better. I think his emotional maturity and stability is better, just based upon his own statements and his testimonies and so on. And he's getting there. Look, Jeremy's got an incredible amount of ability and talent. Everybody knows that, including the haters. Kobe said it, this guy can really play. Of course he can play. When Sandy's not a fluke. This is why people get frustrated with him. And I'm sure he gets frustrated with himself. People know he can play. So it's just, how do we get him into that zone? And part of the way that you get into the zone and that you stay in the zone is to have discipline. You have to have the discipline to work within your limits and execute simple plays. Don't always go for the home run play, for the big play. And make sure that you execute the routine plays properly. So, if you're turning the ball over when you're swinging the ball around the perimeter, then you focus more on making sure you execute that properly. That's what I said. That's what he did tonight. That's why I'm happy with this. when you have as much ability as Jeremy has, and when you've had the success that he's had, and when you have an gigantic fan base that wants you to be Linsanity again, it's very easy to get ahead of yourself and to want to do too much and to try to do too much. And you also want to prove all the doubters wrong. So it's not easy for Jeremy to dial it back. This is difficult. But that's what he needs to do. And tonight he did that. And that's why I'm happy. This is progress. And that's it. Okay, so moving on from the Nuggets game. Let's talk more about what was happening before this game. Number one, the trade deadline is less than 10 days away now. It is on February 19th. What is it? Today's February 10th. So there's 10 more days. If Jeremy doesn't get traded within those 10 days, then he won't have to think about that. He won't have to worry about it. No more speculation. No more anything. It doesn't look like he's going to get traded. And you know what? That's just fine. It'd be great if he were traded, just to kind of get away from Tank City and Byron Ball. But look, let him. He likes LA. So another couple of months there, if he stays there, kind of chill out, start planning whatever the next move is, and that's fine. That's okay. The Lakers have the fourth worst record in the NBA. The only three teams that are worse than them are the Minnesota Timberwolves, the Philadelphia 76ers, and the New York Knicks. That's the bottom of the league. And the truth is, the Lakers are heading for the worst record in the West because Minnesota's improving. Now that Minnesota is getting some injured players back, they look much different than they looked 2 weeks ago. So, with the current trajectory, there's a very good chance the Lakers are going to end up at the bottom of the West. And they're just not good. And it's a combination of a whole bunch of things. If the team were healthier, if Julius Randle doesn't get hurt, and Steve Nash doesn't get hurt, and Xavier Henry doesn't get hurt, and Kobe doesn't get hurt, that's much different. If Byron Scott were a better coach, things are much different. This is what it is. And Jeremy's never been on a team this bad before. The Warriors in his first year, they did not make the playoffs. They were not this bad. So this team they're not very good, and they're not playing at a maximum level, in my opinion, meaning they're not trying to play at their highest level. So you can take that for what it is, but that's what it is. I mean, if they were playing to go all out, they wouldn't be starting Robert Sacre. I mean, that's the easiest way I can put it. So it is what it is. Denver, and I'll just touch on this quickly. Denver came into last night's game 1-13 in their last 14 games. They've been in free fall. The organization is in chaos because there's a rift, or there appears to be a rift between Coach Brian Shaw and the players. And there's been speculation even that the players were trying to tank so that Brian Shaw would get fired. That's not my thought. That's just something that I read. And they still beat the Lakers. And they beat the Lakers in LA. So, I mean, that kind of gives you an idea of where things are for the Lakers. And I'm not trying to run the Lakers down here. I'm just trying to be honest about what's going on, where things are for the team and for Jeremy. this is what he's dealing with. This is the situation. And this is what it is. Denver was the only team I thought the Lakers might be able to beat in the West, and they couldn't beat them. So there'll be another couple of surprise wins this year, I'm sure, but they're heading for the worst winning percentage in team history. And that's saying something. And you just don't expect it from the Lakers. It's just weird. You know, I mean, being an NBA observer for more than 30 years, I've never seen anything like this with the Lakers, including last year. Last year they were bad, and they were evaluating talent, but they won more than they won this year. And the offense was more enjoyable to watch, to be quite honest with you, because I watched a lot of their games. So it's a new frontier for the Lakers. Now, speaking of Lakers discontent, we heard from Magic Johnson yesterday. Magic went on ESPN, and I did not get to see the interview. I guess Magic was on the First Take program. Now, what was this all about? Magic was saying Jim Buss is messing up and Kobe should put his foot down and blah, blah, blah. A couple of things here. Number one, Magic has gotten a reputation as being someone who seeks attention. So he'll just say stuff sometimes, apparently, just to kind of get the limelight. And that's an easy thing to do in Los Angeles right now because the Lakers are terrible. So if you want to get some easy attention or notoriety, talk about how bad the Lakers are and how disappointing it is and how they're messing up. So I think some of that is part of what Magic said. Number two, Magic, according to the way some people feel, is trying to get himself in a position to have more influence with the Lakers. What does that mean? Does that mean Magic becomes an executive? Does that mean Magic becomes an owner? I don't know. But there definitely is that feeling out there that Magic has an agenda. And that agenda might be to gain some real control over the Lakers. Magic's a part owner of the LA Dodgers. Magic's obviously a beloved figure in Los Angeles and is a successful businessman. If you want to take over a company, any business, the best time to try to strike is when the company is weak. And right now, the Lakers are weak. Probably as weak as they've ever been. So, and again, I'm not claiming anything here, if Magic is coming from that perspective, then now would be a pretty good time to do it. Number three, and finally, we will recall that at the beginning of the season, or in the off season actually, Magic's friend and former teammate Byron Scott was named the head coach of the Lakers. And Magic and Kareem were at the press conference to announce Byron Scott. And part of the feeling was, geez, Mike D'Antoni was so bad, and now we're going back to the Showtime Lakers of Byron Scott, and it's all going to be different. Well, that hasn't happened. And we're on course for the worst season ever. So if you're Magic Johnson and maybe your reputation's on the line because you were at the press conference and it was all going to be different now with your friend running the coach the team. Well, maybe now's a good time to come out and blame the head of basketball operations, Jim Buss. Why? Because that might take the focus off of your friend's coaching. Because your friend coaching the team is on course for the worst season in franchise history. And if you don't want him to get blamed, and maybe you get some associated negativity, well, now maybe it's the time to come out and call out Jim Buss, so trying to take the attention away from Byron. Look, I don't know what's happening. Magic, like I said, Magic will do this type of thing. So, I don't know. But I love Magic as a player. He was an incredible player. I respect him. He's been a fantastic businessman. But this stuff and sometimes the comments that he makes, and I don't have nearly as much esteem for a lot of the things that he says as I do for him as a player and as a businessman and as a person. So it just seems a little too opportunistic to me. So that's my feelings on that. Now, another thing that happened yesterday during the game was there was a disappointed fan who tweeted me a statement saying that they had to defend Jeremy from a group of people that the individual identified using a racial grouping. It wasn't a racist word, but it was just a race-based comment. Now, and some other people came to me, hey, what's going on? Why are you paying attention to this guy? Et cetera, et cetera. Now, I said something about this on Twitter today. I talked with the individual involved. They said, yeah, that was my bad. I shouldn't have said it that way, and et cetera, et cetera. So that has been dealt with. Look, here's my position on this. For people that are Jeremy Lin fans, and just even casual fans and so on and so forth, particularly Jeremy Lin fans, we know the type of criticism and nastiness that has been directed at Jeremy. A good amount of that has been race-based, in my opinion and my observation. It's important that, at least in my opinion, it's important that we don't fall into the same trap. Or it's just because it's been done to Jeremy, you don't want to do it back to other people. Look, I'm not saying that people can people can have whatever feelings they want to have about the responses that go on to Jeremy Lin and how that comes about, and why don't people like him, and is it because he's from Harvard, is it because he's Asian American, whatever it is. However, if you are a fan of Jeremy Lin and you're trying to represent yourself in a respectable way, you have to think about what you say, because the way that you say things matters. And if you say things in a certain way, no matter what you think, I'm not telling anybody what to think. But what you say and how you say it can reflect poorly on you, and it can reflect poorly on other fans of Jeremy Lin. And ultimately, it can reflect poorly on Jeremy himself. And so I think that's where people said to me, look, you got to say something about this. Do something about this. And this is where I'm coming from. Look, I don't control anybody. I'm not the voice of the Jeremy Lin fan. I'm just one individual who's making videos because I like Jeremy. But we want to represent Jeremy well. And so I just tell people, think about what you say. And I will say this too, and I mentioned this on Twitter. Some people, in my observation, some individuals who are not from the United States, maybe they live or have come from places that are less diverse in terms of population, or less how can I say this? There is less sensitivity in terms of racial issues or this type of thing. I would tell those people, be careful, because at least in the United States, and truthfully in the world more and more so, which I think is good, you can't say stuff like that. There's just a much less tolerance for that. And I can tell you in the United States, you can't say some of what I've seen said. And I've seen stuff said on like Lakers ground and other fan sites. I'm talking from Jeremy Lin fans who I think maybe in their country of origin might be an acceptable thing to say, but it's not acceptable to say it in the United States. And I would tell people, I would caution people, try to use discretion in what you say, even if that's not what you're used to in your day-to-day experience. And I'm not trying to impugn anybody or rip anybody or rip any culture or rip any country. I'm just telling you that I have seen this myself, where it's people have said they're from other places or whatever, and they're saying things that there's no way that a person that grew up in the United States would say that. So I just, again, have respect. Again, it's important, have respect even if you don't think Jeremy is being treated with respect. Because that's the way, that's what he would do. Jeremy's been mistreated I don't know how many times, but he always tries to act with class. And that's the way to do it. That's the way that's a good representation of him. So that's my feelings on that. Now, I mentioned that there was a Bleacher Report article written by Howard Beck, who is a terrific writer, and he talked with Jeremy. I would imagine he talked with Jeremy when Jeremy was in New York to play the Knicks. If you haven't read it, definitely read it. I put it out on Twitter a while ago, so come find the Twitter or just, go look up Howard Beck on Bleacher Report and you'll see it. It was from earlier today, Wednesday, the 10th, I believe, of February. So if you have any questions about Jeremy Lin, about his mentality, about his resolve, about his confidence, then that article will answer everything. Jeremy basically says, look, I'm disappointed. I know I can play better. I know what I'm capable of. There's a lot of things going into why my performance is up and down, is what he says. And that's reassuring. That says to me there is more stuff going on. It's not just Jeremy's lost his confidence. It's, maybe there's different people in his ear, or Byron's telling him this or that. So he's doing the best that he can. This has been a tough year for him in a lot of ways. Just a lot of adjustments, Kobe, Byron, and on and on. So I definitely recommend that you read that article. If you're a Jeremy Lin fan, if you read the article, you'll feel a whole bunch better. So I seek that out. Now, again, the Lakers, or I called the starting group the Tank Five, which there was a group of players, including J-Lin, who is now an ESPN NBA commentator and host, and they played for the University of Michigan in the early 1990s, and they were called the Fab Five, like the Fabulous Five. And the Lakers, I said, were running out the Tank Five. And as I said, that's what it is. And I understand it, but why they're doing it, they have to evaluate the players. They have to get experience, but this is what it is. And they have to call it like it is, and that's what it is. Finally, before we talk about the Portland game, quarter by quarter, as I mentioned, Portland came into this game number 11 in the league in offensive rating, so they're very good on offense. Number 2 in the league in defensive rating, they're elite on defense, and they're a top 5 rebounding team. So they're going to get at you on defense, and they're going to rebound the ball well. And they're pretty efficient on offense. So they're a difficult team to deal with. And the Lakers they just couldn't deal with it. And again, you're running out the Tank Five. It's just not going to happen. And that's basically what took place in this game. Okay, let's talk about quarter by quarter now. We'll pick it up here, middle of the first. The score at that time was 22-20 for Portland. So the Lakers were hanging in pretty well at that point in time. With 4 minutes and 18 seconds left, Jeremy came into the game with Nick Young, and they replaced, I believe, Wayne Ellington and Jordan Clarkson. Then I put bad defense. Damian Lillard got by Jeremy on a nice move, and Jeremy fouled him. And Damian Lillard got 2 shots. It wasn't terrible defense by Jeremy. It was Damian received the ball, and he Jeremy wasn't quite in position. I think he was helping on defense, and Damian knew he wasn't in position, and he just blew right by him. And look, Damian Lillard is a fantastic player, and I'm really happy that he made the All-Star game because he deserves to make it. I know it was only because of an injury, but I'm glad he made it. He should make it. And I'm happy for that. He is a weapon on offense. So, we've seen that before, Jeremy Lin fans. Okay, now then, moving on to late in the first, Jeremy had a blown assist. He passed the ball to Carlos Boozer, who missed a jump shot. Then Jeremy had his second foul of the game, and that was his final foul of the game as well, which I thought was a questionable call. Or maybe it wasn't questionable, but it was a tough call. What happened was the ball was about to go past half court. Portland was on offense, and there was a pass that was errant, and so the ball was heading to the back court, which would have been a back court violation. Myers Leonard was able to save the ball before it went into the back court, and he basically threw it up in the air up for grabs. Both Damian Lillard and Jeremy Lin went to try to grab the ball, and I guess Jeremy must have held on to Damian or something like that because he got called for a foul. And I don't know. I'm not saying he didn't foul him, but it was a tough call. Fortunately, Jeremy didn't have foul trouble after that, and that was good. Then Jeremy missed his first shot of the game. He did a probe dribble, meaning that's where you kind of drive into the lane and kind of circle around, and then you come out the other side. He did a probe dribble coming from the right side of the court, going to the left. Nobody was open. He was looking to pass, and so he just took a shot from about a little bit left of the free throw line. And he missed the shot. It wasn't a bad shot. It was, like I said, none of Jeremy's misses. I think there was one bad miss tonight. The rest of them were pretty much on target. So I like that. But the shot was missed, but Ed Davis got the offensive rebound and dunked the ball. So that was, it actually ended up being pretty good. Then Jeremy had his second missed shot of the game. This one was was one of the bad misses, I guess, or it might have been the only bad miss. This came from the right free throw line, and what happened was he dribbled into the shot, but whoever was guarding him was right behind him, and Jeremy knew that, and so he kind of looked over his shoulder to see if this guy was in a position to block his shot, and it took his attention away from the shot itself. And so it turned out to be a fairly bad miss just because he had to force the shot, or he wasn't fully concentrated on the shot. Okay. Moving on into the second quarter, Jeremy had another blown assist. This one was to Wesley Johnson for a missed three-point shot. Then Jeremy had a steal. He stole the ball from Steve Blake. He then missed his third field goal attempt of the game. This was about a 21-foot jumper. I did not see it, so I can't tell you exactly what I was writing a note at that time. Then he had another blown assist to Carlos Boozer, so he could have had a number of assists in this game. It's just sometimes guys miss shots, and you particularly will miss shots when you're playing against a very good defensive team like Portland is. Middle of the second, 41-33 for the Blazers at that point in time. 7 minutes and 35 seconds left. Timeout was taken, and at that point in time, Jeremy came out of the game and was replaced by Jordan Clarkson. And so we move on, kind of going on to halftime here, and as I mentioned, there was an 8-point spread at the half. The Lakers and Blazers each scored 22 points in the second quarter, so the Blazers did not increase their lead after the first quarter, and the score was 54-46 for Portland at halftime. At that point in the game, Jeremy had 0 points, 0 rebounds, and 0 assists. He was 0 of 3 from the field, and he had the 1 steal and 0 turnovers. Moving on into the third quarter, Jordan Clarkson had he missed a 3, then he had a nice layup where he went up and over Robin Lopez, or actually he went around Robin Lopez, I should say. Then he missed a jumper. Then Damian Lillard had a really nice dunk and transition off of a steal, and then Jordan Clarkson missed another jumper. Moving on into the middle of the third, now Portland was starting to surge. They were making their push. They had really tightened up on defense, and that was translating into offense, as Todd said on Twitter, and he's 100% correct. A good way to start your offense is to crank up your defense, and that's exactly what Portland was doing now. Portland went up 67-50, and at that point in time, they were on a 13-2 run. So they were outscored by the Lakers by 11 in this period of time. Then the lead got even larger than the 17 points. It got up to 18 points. It got up to 19 points. And when it reached 19 points, it's 77-56 for the Blazers. That came with 5 minutes and 24 seconds left, and Byron put in 5 new players. So he took out all of the starters and replaced them with and then the entire bench crew. When you see that type of a substitution, sometimes that will be referred to as a line shift, because in hockey, you will often see like an entire line taken out, an entire squad of 5 men. Hockey's 5, isn't it? Yeah. Now all of a sudden I can't remember hockey. So you'll see all of them replaced, or maybe all of them except a goalie, or something like this. And so that's basically what Byron did here. So if you hear somebody refer to a line shift, that's what they mean. Rather than just 1 or 2 guys coming out, all of them come out, or all but one, or something like that. So Jeremy came in for Jordan at that point in time. And then Jeremy had a nice little play where he was fouled. He went into the lane, was thought about passing, and then at the last minute he got hit. And right as he was getting hit, he went to make a motion like he was shooting. It was a good piece of acting by Jeremy, and it got him 2 free throws, which he made both of them. And those would be the only points that Jeremy would score of the night. But that was a nice play by him. Then Jeremy almost turned the ball over. He kind of had the ball poked away from him, but it ended up going to a Laker. And so it did not count as a turnover, which was fortunate for him. Moving on into late into the third, there was a funny sequence where Nick Batum came down for the Blazers, and he threw up a lob that went to absolutely nobody. So it's like this ball went over the basket and just kind of bounced to no one. And then the Lakers came back down after that play, and Nick Young put up a three-pointer from, I don't know, maybe about 40 degrees right of the top of the arc that was a total brick. It didn't even hit the rim. It went off of the backboard and just bounced off. So it's like this is just almost like it's like pickup basketball. It was just so funny to watch. It was just kind of like just silly. It was funny how it went. Soon after that, Jeremy had his first assist of the game. He passed the ball to Wes Johnson for a made three-pointer. That made the score 83-63 to Portland with 2 minutes and 18 seconds left, I believe. And then soon after that timeout, Steve Blake fouled Jeremy. And on the entire sequence of that play, it looked like Steve Blake fouled Jeremy about 3 or 4 times. He was really putting his body into Jeremy, and Jeremy wasn't happy about it. And I don't blame him. If that happened to me, I wouldn't be happy about it either. Steve Blake's a very scrappy player. He's, I don't know, what is he, 33 or 34 years old now. He's never been the most athletic guy in the world, but he's a tough-minded guy. He's like a pest. He's annoying, and that's what he was doing on that play, and Jeremy wasn't really happy about it. Then Jeremy had his second near turnover of the game. He was on the right side in the front court, on the Lakers side of the court, and he dribbled the ball off his foot. Fortunately for him, the ball went to another Laker. So it's true. He could have had 2 turnovers in this game. That's true. Lynn Spired, I believe, pointed that out on Twitter. But he didn't have them. And still, most of for the time that Jeremy was on the court, he mostly played under control. And that's what I'm happy about. That's what I wanted to see, and that's what he did. So that's why I was happy with how he played tonight. Okay, after 3 quarters, Portland 88, Lakers 65. So the Lakers were down by 23 points, and essentially the game was over at this point in time. Okay, moving on into the 4th quarter. Then Jeremy had his second assist of the game. He passed the ball to Wayne Ellington for a jump shot, which was nice. And then I made the note that said, Jeremy's not forcing it tonight, and that's a good thing. This is what I'm talking about. In other games, or in times in the past, Jeremy when the team's really behind and they're hurting, and he would try to make things happen, sometimes in an unproductive way. And he didn't do that tonight. He kind of held himself back, and that's a good thing. Not just because Byron said he tried to do too much, but just for Jeremy himself. He has to get out of I don't know, how can I say this? It's almost like a savior mentality. Like it's all up to him. That hurts his game. That actually often will hurt his game. And tonight, he fought that off. And I thought it was really, really good. That is definitely a step in the right direction for him. And I'm happy that he was able to do that tonight. Again, I'm not trying to say that I want Jeremy to shoot 4 times every game and never try to make a play. That's not it. He's got to find the medium between trying to make every play and getting too loose with like his passes and stuff and not doing anything. And tonight he went towards the not doing anything end of the spectrum in a good way, particularly after last night. So this is progress in his development and how he is going to maximize his ability. Okay, soon after this, Jeremy missed his 4th shot of the game. It was the top of the key, left extended, so a little bit to the left of the top of the key. He made a move against Steve Blake, and he kind of a fadeaway shot, and it was just short. The shot was a good shot. It was just very slightly short. That made him 0 of 4 shooting for the game. Then LA was starting to make a little bit of a run. They cut the lead down to 18, which doesn't sound like much, but it had gotten bigger than that. And there was a timeout taken, I believe, by the Blazers with 8 minutes and 53 seconds left. And then it was kind of like, okay, don't let the Lakers come back into the game. And they pretty much did not. Right after that play, Jeremy had a tough defensive sequence where a screen was set for Steve Blake. And as we've discussed in earlier videos, when a screen is set, you as a defender have 2 options. You can either go under the screen or you can go over the screen. If you go under the screen, then you are allowing the man you're guarding a free jump shot if he wants to take it. If you go over the screen, the man does not have as much room usually to take a jump shot. Jeremy went underneath the screen. Steve Blake shot a 3-pointer, and Steve Blake hit the 3-pointer. So it was Steve's not an incredible 3-point shooter, but he's a solid 3-point shooter, and he's a pretty clutch shooter. And so maybe that was the wrong decision there by Jeremy, but it was just tough. I mean, you have to make a choice, and that was a choice he made, and Steve ended up hitting the shot. Okay, moving on to middle of the 4th. Then Jeremy missed his 5th field goal attempt of the game. He went to the basket and shot a layup off of the backboard that was off. He was challenged pretty well by Robin Lopez, the Blazers center. Jeremy was looking for a foul in the play, but he didn't get it. He got knocked down, but no foul was called. Then right soon after that, he then missed his 6th and final attempt of the game. He was on the right baseline, and he was facing Myers Leonard on a switch. So he got a big man guarding him, which is usually guards like that matchup because they think they can get around the big man, get to the basket. And Jeremy took a jump shot, and it was just slightly long. That was a good play, though. Like I said, most of the shots that Jeremy took were good shots. They just didn't go in tonight, whether it's the legs because of the back-to-back. His shot was pretty good tonight. It just was just a little tiny bit off. I'm not worried about that. I'm not worried about the 0 for 6 at all because the shots were good and they were pretty much on target. It's just not quite on target. And again, you're playing a great defensive team. It makes shots a lot more difficult than they are against other inferior defensive teams. Okay. Then I think, let me just check this really quickly. No, Jeremy almost blocked a shot in transition. I think it was against Wesley Matthews. I believe one of the Lakers did block it, but Jeremy was not given credit for the block, although he was right there. I actually thought that he blocked the shot, but they did not credit him for it. Then he almost got a steal. I guess one of the other Lakers must have knocked the ball, and Jeremy recovered it. So I thought he might get credit for the steal, but he was not given credit for the steal. Okay, now the lead was down to 17 points with about 7 minutes left. Portland took another timeout. So the bench for the Lakers was making a run once again, as we've seen many times. And then right after the timeout, Myers Leonard hit a three-pointer. So again, Myers Leonard, the 7-foot three-point shooter. So look, I said this to Joshua on Twitter. I'm actually happy for Myers Leonard because he was looked at as a bust. Like Myers is probably about 7'1" or maybe 7 foot bare in his bare feet. He hasn't panned out as a big man, like as a guy close to the basket and post moves. That hasn't worked out for him. But he is starting to find something with this three-point shooting. I mean, he's becoming a pretty darn good three-point shooter. And when you're as tall as he is, and nobody's going to block your shot almost ever. So if you can actually hit that shot with some reliability, now your whole career changes. You can become a very meaningful and useful player. I'm happy for Myers. Look, he's had his struggles, but he can shoot the ball. And if he can continue to shoot three-pointers the way that he's been shooting them this year, then he's going to be in the NBA for a long time. So good for him. Okay. After this timeout, so the lead had been cut down to 17 points, which I know it still sounds like a lot, but the Lakers were making a push. There were 5 minutes and 25 seconds left, and at that point in time, Jeremy was pulled out for Jordan Clarkson, and I think more of the starters came back as well. So I think somebody has said on Twitter, yeah, Byron doesn't want to win, so it's time to put in the starters again. Well, maybe that's what he was thinking. I don't know. I'm not sure. So nothing particularly eventful happened in the rest of the game, essentially between 5 minutes and 25 seconds left and the final score. The Lakers cut one more point off of the deficit. So they were down 17, and then the final score, they were down by 16. Now, let's talk about the post-game stuff. I didn't hear Byron or anything. I don't know what Byron said, but Nick Young was injured. He injured his left leg in this game. And apparently after the game, I saw that it was being listed as a perennial tendon strain. I believe that the perennial tendon is the tendon that it kind of runs behind the leg near the Achilles tendon, and it also, I believe, is the tendon that runs over the outside of the ankle. I've had that injury, and it's not a fun injury to have. So it can mess you up, and it's something like the perennial tendon. I think it's like it kind of lets your foot flex, like if you're doing like toe raises type stuff. So I think it certainly would affect a basketball player. Hopefully Nick's not going to be hurt too much, and hopefully the strain isn't bad, and over the All-Star break he can heal up and come back full force. That would be a fantastic thing. So we don't want any injuries for anybody. So hopefully Nick will be able to recover quickly from that. Now, before I kind of wrap things up here, kind of give the overview, let's discuss the next game. And the next game is not going to happen for another 9 days. That is because we are heading into the All-Star break. And the league has given players more time off now. Used to be a shorter break, and now it has become a longer break, and that's good. It's 82 games, a long schedule. Basketball is a tough sport, playing 48-minute games. So I'm glad the players get a little bit more time to recover and rest up. That's a good thing for them and for the league. Nobody benefits if guys are hurt all the time. So, on Friday, February 20th, here in the United States, that will be the next time the Lakers play. So that's 9 days. That's 9 days away. They will take on the Brooklyn Nets in Los Angeles, California, and it will be broadcast at 10:30 p.m. Eastern Time, so 7:30 p.m. Pacific Time, and that means the game will take place on Saturday, February 21st at 11:30 a.m. in China, Taiwan, and in the Philippines. So, and it will be on Time Warner Cable Sportsnet and NBA League Pass and NBA International League Pass. Okay, so wrapping up here. Look, I like the way that Jeremy played because he played under control and he didn't try to do too much. And he made adjustments after last night's game. So I'm sure Byron told him, look, you try to do a little bit more than what you could against Denver. So kind of delegate some responsibility here, make passes, play in the flow, and let other guys do some things. And that's what Jeremy did. And like I said, yes, his stat line doesn't look good. Yeah, he was 0 of 6. He played smart. He played well. And to me, this is definitely progress. And it's not just stats. It's not just that there's 0 turnovers. It's the way that he played. What I liked about what Jeremy did tonight was what he didn't do. He didn't try to take over. He didn't force shots. He didn't over-dribble too much. He played like a cog in the wheel. And that's something that Jeremy is not good at doing, in my opinion. His nature is to take over. Even when it's not productive, even when he's trying to do a little bit too much. And tonight he didn't do that. And that's important for his development as a player and for his sustainability as a player. Sometimes just swing the ball around. Swing the ball around to the shooters. Swing the ball to the big man. Make the simple plays. And that's one of the reasons why Byron likes Ronnie Price so much. Ronnie doesn't do a lot of flashy stuff, but he also doesn't make many mistakes. Yeah, I mean, we know Ronnie's a super defender and head of the snake and all that, okay. But Ronnie's steady, and he's not going to make a bunch of offensive mistakes. Or like Patrick Beverley. You know, Beverly and Ronnie don't have the offensive ability that Jeremy does. We know that. But they also aren't going to hurt you a lot. Remember the thing McHale said, sometimes Jeremy's playing for the other team, meaning he's getting a bunch of turnovers, he's playing recklessly. You have to have a speed or a mode which is low key, where you're out there, you're cool, you're helping the team, but you're also not hurting the team, and you're not trying to take over constantly. That's how Jeremy played tonight, and that's why I'm pleased, because he needs that as part of his arsenal That doesn't mean he plays like that all the time, but he needs to be able to play like that without feeling this internal pressure to do everything and to become Superman. And that's what he did tonight, and that's why I'm happy. I'm thrilled, actually. I love the way that he approached the game tonight. He played intelligently in this game, and wisely, and within his limits. And that's what we want him to do. That's going to make him a much more attractive component for a team. Look, everybody knows what Jeremy can do. Everybody knows he can score, and everybody knows he can get to the rim. He can do that. So now it's, okay, what's next? What else can you do? Can you play steady and slow? Can you play at a slower pace? Can you be a cog in the wheel instead of having to be the wheel? And that's what he's working on, and that's what he showed tonight. So, like I said, I'm happy. Sure, yes, it'd be great if Jeremy had 20 points and 10 assists and the Lakers won, but I expected the loss, and I like the way that Jeremy bounced back tonight. He showed a lot of mental fortitude and ability to adjust. And I said this before about Jeremy, and I 100% believe this. Jeremy is stubborn. Jeremy has not always adapted to what coaches want him to do. He wants to play his way, and that's it. And he's got to work on that so that he can fit into different systems when he's not called upon to do that, or the coach doesn't want him to do it, or for whatever reason. That's what he did tonight. Just take a step back. That's what he did, and I thought he did it and did it well. Okay, that is it for this video. Thumbs up, thumbs down, your comments below. Look, well, I'll be around. I'll be on Twitter. I might make some other videos just about other basketball topics. I'm not sure. So it's not like I'm going to be gone for the next 9 days. There are some other things I need to take care of. And so I'm definitely going to enjoy the break. Some things I got to do, but I'll be around. Just hit me up in the YouTube comments. Come and hit us up hit me up on Twitter, and we'll definitely be in the mix. We want to thank Gary Chen for the artwork you're looking at right now. Gary is an artist and blogger in Taiwan, and he is a member of the Jeremy Only Lynn Garden fan club, which is a great group of people who all share the ability to speak Mandarin or Chinese. And they are centered in Taiwan, but they have people all over the world. And Gary is one of those people, and they're a great group, and he's obviously a very talented artist. We'll have information about Gary, his Facebook information in the video description below the video player, so you can go and check out more of his stuff, check him out, maybe say hello to him, whatever you want to do. Also in the video description, highlights of this game information, so you can go check out highlights of this game, and information so you can come and join the Conservative New Media Facebook group, and how you can come and follow us on Twitter. So, like I said, I'm on Twitter quite a bit. Love talking to people there, so we love to have you come and join us there. And we talk with Jeremy Lin fans all over the world. So there's a great group of people on there, Jeremy Lin Global Family. So come and be a part of it. There's been some recent people that have come and joined, and it's great to have them on board. We'd love to have you there too. Once again, I am PFE Paul F. Villarreal, the NBA expert. Thanks a lot for watching Conservative Media. We strive to be the #1 Jeremy Lin YouTube fan channel. Look, another game down. They're now just 53. They're now just 29 games left in this regular season. So 29 games left until Jeremy Lin can become a free agent and make his own choice for next year. I don't think he's going to get traded. It's possible, but I doubt it. So looks like 29 more games for Jeremy Lin with the Lakers, at least for this season and probably for the foreseeable future. It does appear as though he's going to head out to a new team, and I think given all of the circumstances, that's probably a good decision. Kobe's coming back next year, so things will still revolve around Kobe. And Byron Scott, I'm sure, will be back next year, so it could be a different and better opportunity out there for Jeremy. And let's just see how it goes. Again, look, for the rest of this year, try to stay healthy, continue to be a good teammate, and work on your game. I thought Jeremy did that tonight. He worked on his game tonight. He tried a new thing or a different way of approaching, and that's going to help him. So I'm very happy with the way tonight went. I'm glad that the Nuggets game is over with and we can move on from that. So I'm hoping Jeremy has a great All-Star break, that he can kind of freshen up, just kind of mentally reset, and let's go for this last 29 games, and hopefully he can put his best foot forward and be looking forward to the free agency period to come. Okay, that's it. Have a great night or great day. I hope you're having that right now wherever you are around the world when you check out this video. We will be talking to you again soon. Again, I'll be around for this period of time before we do have the next game against Brooklyn in 9 days from now. So if you're in the Northern Hemisphere, stay warm because it's still pretty cold, at least where I'm at. And if you're in the Southern Hemisphere, Australia, New Zealand, South America, Africa, all those places, I hope you're having a great summer and you're staying cool and kind of just enjoying it all and taking it all in. So, take care. We will talk to you again soon. Hang in there, J-Lin fans. I think the best is still yet to come.